One of the most common problems that salespeople face is getting to the price. I'm Scott Silvenbell. It's November 5th, 2017, 9:42 in the morning here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Perfect day to talk about sales and a perfect day to talk about how salespeople really struggle in the world of sales. And there's a couple things going on. If you're coming to me and you're saying, hey, Scott, I'm really struggling after the presentation to finally roll the price, there's a couple things that could be going on. One, you're scared of rejection. Two, you're scared of objections. Three, you don't like the price of your product, your service, or your widget, or your gizmo, or it is a combination of all three of them. And so this is what will happen. Is salespeople will go into a sales presentation and they will talk and 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 talk, and they lose the buyer because the buyer's like, I only had an hour and we're 2 hours into it. How much is this darn thing? Because I got another meeting I got to get to. In whatever way they're going to say that. So I'm going to give you a couple of different ways to transition with the buyer. I don't know what your personality is, and I don't know what your level of sales sophistication is. So I'm going to give you a couple of different ones. You can modify accordingly, and you could change the process up for whatever you want, okay? So one of them is, have you seen enough to make a buying decision yet, right? Just like it's the purest form. It's just like, have you seen enough to make a buying decision yet? And the person may say yes, or they may say no. If they say no, say, well, what other information do I need to give you, okay? So another way to segue is like, hey, now that we're done talking about the product, let's talk about what it would take for you to get this product, okay? Change it up however you would say it, however you would do it. So we've got, have you seen enough to make a buying decision? Second, I've done going over all this information. Now it's time to go into the price. And then, another third one is you could look at them and say, okay, great. Now that we've gotten all the discussion out of the way, are there any other questions that we need to go over before we can talk about price, right? They're all going to roughly say the same thing. You're going to have to sit down and make a penciled out, penned out, typed out version of whatever way that you would do it or whatever way that you would say it. But find that transition statement. You need a transition statement to go from here's presentation to here is price. And it could be very blunt. I'm a very straightforward person. When I got into sales in the very beginning, I really struggled because I was very blunt, right? I've pulled some stuff back. I've taken a lot of time, energy, and effort to figure out how to say the right thing based upon my personality, right? So my challenge for you is figure out 10 different ways for you to say it. And not all of them are going to be perfect. You're probably going to cross out 7 or 8 of them, and you're going to come up with 2, transition statements. Have you seen enough to make a buying decision yet? Are you ready for me to go over the pricing options, right? What other information do you need before you make a decision? There's tons of different ways to say this. And there's no, I'm going to tell you, there's no one shining answer that you're going to look and be like, perfect. That's the one that I'm going to use. It's based upon personality a lot, right? It really is. And I know that a lot of sales trainers say, you have to say it this way, word for word. There's one way to do it. I'm going to tell you, it's not the case. You need to figure out your transition. How do you say, we're done looking at our product, now let's look at the price? That's another way of saying it, right? I've given you 4. We're done looking at the product, now let's look at the price. Now that we're done looking at the product, now let's look at it. It's just like a variation of the same thing. So what you need to work on is get past your fear of objections, fear of rejections, fear of price, and then figure out how you're going to get the person to the next statement. What is your transition statement? You need to build a transition statement. This is going to take some work or some effort on your part. And then here's where it gets interesting, because I'm going to give you more sales advice, a better sales tip, a better sales lesson here. You're going to have to practice it 100 times. And Scott, really? Do I really need to practice it 100 times? Yes, you do. And here's what I'm going to tell you is you need to grab a video camera or a voice recorder, preferably a video camera or a cell phone, and record yourself saying it 100 times. Because here's what's going to happen is the first 10 are going to sound something like, all right, so now that you have got all the information, are you ready to make a buying decision? It'll be really choppy for the first 10. And then it's going to be okay, now that you've got enough of the information, are you ready to make a buying decision? And then it's going to the next 10 will be okay, now that you have enough information, are you ready to make a buying decision? And then it's just going to get easier and easier. By the time that you're done, you're going to be able to say, hey, now that we've gone over everything, have you seen enough information to make a buying decision yet? All right, it's going to be really smooth. But I'm going to tell you, the first 30 times are going to suck. They're going to be bad. They're going to be horrible. And you're going to be please don't show this to anybody. But you're going to want that for when somebody goes, you know what, you're a liar, a cheater, or fraud. And it's no, I put in all the work, energy, and effort. Here's all my hard drive of me doing all the information and role play and all the video that I've done. I've got a terabyte of me doing role play. I've got a terabyte of me, just talking through things. I have a voice recorder, and like if I need to think through something, I always like to drive, and so like I got my PC headset, so it's got the mic boom on there, and as I'm driving down the road, I got my headphones with the boom on it, and I'm talking to myself. Right? And I'm refining that information and I'm saying it over and over and over again. And I live in Sacramento. To drive to Monterey takes about 3.5 hours depending upon what's going on. And one day I get in the car and I just drive south on I-5. I-5 is right through like all of California, all the way from Mexico, all the way to north past Redding and into Oregon. And the next thing I know, I'm like, cool, I'm going to go to Monterey. So I'm driving through Monterey, right? I'm going through the mountains, and then the next thing I know, I'm like, I'm in Monterey, but I've refined the speech a bunch of times, and now I know how to say it in 3 sentences. What I'm getting at is a lot of people aren't willing to put in that work. What they want to do is they want to have it easy, and they're like, Scott, give me the easy information. This isn't easy, right? Transitions are going to take some time, energy, and effort for you. The first couple of times you do live, they're going to be choppy, right? They are. You're going to feel like that was chunky, but most salespeople at that point give up, and they're like, well, it didn't feel right, so I'm not going to ever do it again. Well, I mean, if that was the case, you wouldn't walk, you wouldn't talk, you wouldn't be able to write, you wouldn't be able to get on an airplane, you wouldn't be able to drive a car, right? You have to look at it like this is a skill, this is a muscle, this is something I'm going to work and develop over time. So there you go. Work on your transition statement to go from here's what we're doing now to here's what we need to talk about. We just got done talking about the product, now we need to talk about the price, okay? Whatever way that you're going to say it, whatever statement that you're going to use. Now, if you could do a small favor for me in the box down below, leave a comment, question, or story, that'd be fantastic. To the right, to the left, there is a subscribe button. You know what you got to do. You got to subscribe. And then last of all, you can send it out to all your friends via StumbleUpon, Facebook, Twitter, Google+. Why not even LinkedIn? Scott Silverman Bell. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Aloha.